So like I said, some winners and some losers. I don't want to call Governor of South Dakota Kristi Noem a loser, because I really don't think that she is. But she has taken some tactics on Twitter that I just don't think are wise. And because I think that she's done a lot of good things as the South Dakota governor, like, I want to give some friendly advice. So let me tell you some drama that went on Twitter yesterday with Kristi Noem and Matt Walsh. Now, this is like the third week in a row that we're talking about Matt Walsh. We talked about Matt Walsh on an episode about Carrie Underwood, and then we had him on, I think, the week before. And so he's a newsmaker, and so we're going to talk about him again in relation to Kristi Noem. So he said on his podcast that the only reason that Kristi Noem has the attention that she has, again, governor of South Dakota, is because she is a very attractive woman. He said, add, I think he said 20 years and 40 pounds to her, something like that. Then she doesn't get the attention that she does. Now, we know that's Matt Walsh's brand. He says stuff like that. Well, Kristi Noem decided that she was going to post that clip, which she apparently got from Media Matters, and say that Matt Walsh is a misogynist. And then she tweeted something again, saying, actually tagging Ben Shapiro, I guess, kind of like telling on Matt Walsh and saying, like, I've roped steers bigger than Matt Walsh when I was a teenager, or something like that. And the reason why this all started is because Governor Noem, she's gotten a lot of conservatives frustrated, I think understandably so, because she refuses to tell corporations that they can't mandate vaccines. Whereas in somewhere like Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis has tried to make it impossible for businesses to mandate vaccines. Now, there are conservatives typically on the anti-Trump side, I would say, that don't like that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that necessarily they're only characterized by being against Donald Trump. They just typically tend to be in that camp, who say that it's not conservative. Like, I saw Joe Walsh, for example. He, I think, said that he was going to run against Trump last time, but in the Republican primary. But he said, what's conservative about a Republican governor telling businesses that they can't mandate something, or telling school districts that they can't mandate something? And I replied and I said, well, they're protecting individual choice. I am on that side. I am okay with a politician telling a business what they can and can't do when it comes to protecting the rights of individuals to make particular choices, I think. Now, I could maybe be persuaded by a good argument to the contrary of that, but I like that Ron DeSantis is stepping up and saying, look, no, you can't trample on a parent's right to decide what is best for their kid, and you can't trample on an individual's right or try to manipulate them into doing something with their body that they don't want to do, talking to a business, and basically give them an ultimatum. It's either this or you're fired. Maybe there are some other restrictions that you can put on them. Maybe you can make them test. Maybe you can try to make them wear a mask, but you can't force them, or you can't fire them if they refuse this vaccine. I don't know the ins and outs of Ron DeSantis' particular policy, but I know that he's trying to protect individual choice by basically saying, no, you can't mandate this kind of thing. Whereas Kristi Noem is saying, look, I don't have the power to do that. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to coerce businesses into not mandating something that they want to mandate. And I get that, but I do think it's different. The government saying, look, the company, you can't force your employees to do that, versus saying, versus a governor or an elected official telling a company that they have to do something, if that makes sense. I think that there is a difference, because on the one hand, the former situation, you are protecting individual choice. I would say that is the role of a conservative politician, to try to protect individual choice as much as possible. You are representing individuals. You are not primarily representing corporations. And so this is another thing that a lot of conservatives consider a blunder on the part of Kristi Noem after she refused to protect girls' sports. Now, she did explain her decision not to sign the bill that was said to protect girls' sports, but a lot of people think that she has conflicting interests, corporate interests, and that she is not representing people in a conservative way. So that's what people have beef about. That is why Matt Walsh was criticizing her. If you look at his podcast in general, or the episode in general, you'll see he actually did lay out some specific complaints about Kristi Noem and the policy positions that she has decided to hold. And it wasn't just about her looks, but this is the clip that was kind of taken out that she tweeted and she had a problem about. Here's the thing, Kristi Noem. First of all, I do disagree with you when it comes to the businesses, when it comes to protecting individual choice. I would not say what Matt Walsh said. I am a woman. I wouldn't like someone to say that about me. I wouldn't. And so I understand her being offended by that. I'd be offended by that. I think it's offensive. I'm sure that Matt Walsh doesn't think it's inoffensive. But it's fine for him to say it, whatever. He has the freedom to do that. And there is some truth to it. Like, there is some truth to it. She is a beautiful person, and beauty has privilege. There are privileges that come with beauty. That is just true. That's true no matter what party you're in. That's true no matter what your background is. There is such thing as pretty privilege. You will get a more prominent platform if you are appealing to the eyes. Now, in her defense, she was the only governor that decided not to shut down any businesses or shut down any churches for any amount of time. And that is actually why she rose to the position that she did, because she was such a staunch defender of liberty from the get-go at the beginning of COVID. So we do have to give her credit in that. I think that she signed some good abortion legislation as well, anti-abortion legislation. And so we have to give her credit there. But, I mean, you have to also realize that some of it has to do with your beauty. Some of it does have to do with your beauty, and maybe that is a double standard, but that's also because men and women are different. There are other female governors, and I'm not knocking those female governors or saying that they're not pretty. Maybe they are pretty. I don't even know. We don't even know. We don't even know what they look like, because they don't have necessarily the same attractiveness as Governor Noem does. So here's the thing. Here's why Governor Noem ends up losing in this situation. And I'm not calling her a loser, but in this situation, she loses. Okay? Kristi Noem, you don't troll the trolls. You don't troll the trolls. Okay? It might be annoying that Matt Walsh said that to you, and I understand totally being offended by that, but you win nothing by fighting these fights, okay? You win nothing. The internet will take the side of Matt Walsh, and coming on the heels of you deciding something that a lot of conservatives are mad at, you are not going to win. There is no good target audience for this particular fight. Like, people really like the Daily Wire. They like the podcasters there for good reason. I like them all too. I think that they're hilarious and awesome and insightful. And millions of other people do too. And it just makes you look bad. It makes you look petty, and I understand the offensiveness, but you lose in this situation. And so if I were your political advisor, which you have no reason to listen to me, I would advise you not to tweet anything like that ever again, because there is no winning side of it. There's no winning side of it. And I also recommend you not take implied shots at Ron DeSantis like you did in your CPAC speech, because again, even if you feel like you've done a better job, he is super popular and conservatives really like the job that he did. And so it's just the whole thing, the pettiness doesn't work. And maybe it's a double standard. It probably is a double standard. But I think especially when women engage in that kind of thing, people assume that you're insecure and that you're petty and that you're jealous. And I'm not saying that you are, but people are going to assume that. And so the loser in this particular situation, like I said, Kristi Noem, about my In-N-Out and smorgasbord thing, you'll win some days, you'll lose some days. So focus on continuing to be a good governor for South Dakota. Focus on continuing to pass and to tout conservative policies. And, you know, the game is changing. The game is changing a little bit. And maybe you need to realize that there are Republicans who want their Republican representatives, their governors, their elected officials to wield power in the same way that Democrats wield power for the advancement of individual liberty. That's kind of where we are right now. Love it or hate it.